Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the woods. We're out in the woods today, kind of recharging my batteries, and I actually wanted to talk to you guys about something that's it's a very difficult topic to broach here, but we're going to attempt to do it anyways. And what that is like prepper burnout and depression, and just, you know, when you look at the news and you see all this horrible stuff going on in the country that you love, the country that you grew up believing in, you know, liberty and freedom and the land of the free, the home of the brave, all that stuff. All of that has been coming into question more and more here lately, of like, you know, what freedoms do we have left and things like that. And I'll be honest with you, even myself, I get depressed about it sometimes, where it's just like I have these, you know, ups and downs, these ebbs and flows, I guess, if you will, that, you know, sometimes the prepping is not enough. It feels like it's not enough. And you know, you can get to a point where you just want to give up, basically, is what I'm getting at. So I thought today we would just walk around. I'm actually out kind of hunting for morel mushrooms. Last year we had a real bountiful harvest, and man, it really, they're just some of the best mushrooms you're ever going to eat. And I want to make sure that I'm on the ball. So I thought I'd bring you guys along while I'm out here hunting around for some morels and just being out in nature and being out in the woods. That's one of my number one things that I do when I start feeling myself getting too damn depressed. Usually I look around and I realize that I've been spending a lot of time in the house, looking at the internet, looking at news, looking at, you know, whether it be Tucker Carlson or, you know, Sean Hannity or any of these guys, you know, even Tim Pool, Anomaly, all these other people that are on YouTube and stuff like that. It can get really depressing. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Our country, our freedoms, our liberty, everything we love, everything we hold dear, even the basic stuff, the being able to go to the store and afford food for your family, all of this stuff is starting to become more and more of a pressing issue. And as we get closer and closer to the collapse of everything, which is actually ongoing, it's like, you know, I was thinking about this on the way over here. I think many preppers are sitting around waiting for this massive event that's going to happen. And one day this event's going to happen, and it's going to trigger people to stand up and rise up against it. And they're going to be like, no more. We're not going to take this anymore. But I don't really think that's going to happen. The people we're up against, the globalists, the communists, the New World Order agenda holders, the people that are here in the United States that want to overthrow everything and destroy everything by raising it to the ground first, and then rebuilding some sort of socialist utopia, or what are they calling it? I can't remember the name of it, like shareholder capitalism or stakeholder capitalism or whatever, which is not capitalism at all. It's a way of dividing us even further. So as we see more and more divisions in our country, I mean, and more things going on, what I was going to say was that these people are masters of incrementalism. The enemies of freedom and liberty are masters at incrementalism. They've been doing this stuff for decades and decades, guys. Most of you that are old enough, you've been seeing this going on. You know, even guys that are older than me, you're probably like, yeah, you're just now coming to that conclusion. No, I've realized this for a long time, that they've been doing it through incrementalism. But I also bought into the fact that, you know, maybe, or the lie, maybe, that someday something big enough would happen. Some event, some situation would be big enough, like, I don't know, maybe the 2020 election, or the person that we have in there in the office right now who is obviously a communist. Obviously, this guy wants to destroy the United States of America. Everything he does is 100% wrong to fix any situation that we're facing. I mean, you could look at anything he's done, anything, every single issue he's on the wrong side of it. And that's not by accident, guys. That's being done on purpose. The point is I'm trying to make is that we have so many different things right now facing us as a nation, as a people that love freedom, that it's freaking depressing. I'm losing faith in people, to be honest with you, in my fellow Americans. You know, maybe I thought too highly of them to begin with. Maybe they were never as good as I thought they were. I don't know. But I am shocked that how little people are resisting all of this stuff, all of this tyranny that's going on. I am just shocked that people just continually put up with this crap, and they just, whatever, if the inflation's up, well, no big deal, well, that's the way it goes. And then even if the midterms come along and they go off without a hitch, and somehow the right thing happens and the American people come out to the voting booths and they overwhelmingly vote Republicans, what are the feckless Republicans going to do when they take power? Probably the same thing they did the last several times they took power. Absolutely nothing. And it's frustrating as hell. And, you can look at old plans that they've had for years, like the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission and, just on and on and on, Bilderberg Group and all these people that don't have our best interests in mind. That's the problem. They're not worried about us or freedom or liberty or any of the good things that the Founding Fathers were worried about. They're worried about lining their pockets and taking power and taking control. In fact, the Constitution is an obstacle in their way. Of course, that's only if people know their rights. And that goes back to the fact that it's been very difficult for me because as I talk to people randomly out in public and stuff, they don't know their rights. They're not being taught their rights anymore. So I don't know what the future holds any more than anyone else. It's dark, I can tell you that. When I look into the crystal ball, all I see is darkness. I don't see any good signs. I don't see anybody standing up. I don't see an event that's going to come that's going to make everybody just go, oh my God, we're not going to tolerate this. Screw these people. We got to get rid of. No, it's going to be done through incrementalism. And if they ever approach a point where they're running up against the wall like that, where they think people are fixing a revolt, then they'll back off for now. And they'll wait a generation and retry it again on the next generation or whatever. So yes, things are very difficult and frustrating, but I don't want to just keep going on about all the bad shit that's going on in the world. What I want to talk to you about is how do you deal with that? How do I deal with that? One of the easiest, most simple ways you can do is turn that damn computer off, turn that smartphone off, unplug it, power it down, whatever you have to do, and go find yourself some woods to get into. Hey, I get it. Not everybody's like me, a big land baron, owns 100 acres, all this, right? I get it. You don't have your own land to walk around on, but there's plenty of public parks. There's plenty of, state parks and things like that. If you need to, take your wife, take your kids down to, a local hiking trail or whatever, and just spend a whole day out in the woods. I promise you, that right there will do your soul good, especially if you're one of these people that lives in the city or even in the suburbs and you're just around that hustle and bustle all the time. Getting out in the woods, every time I do it, it recharges my batteries. For one thing, it makes it impossible for me to look at the news or anything like that. And so the other side of that equation is when you start feeling yourself getting really frustrated, turn that shit off. Turn the news off. Turn it off. You're not going to be able to, another thing that's a really big factor that I think a lot of us are, people with my kind of personality, when we see injustice, we want to talk about it. We want to make sure everyone knows about it. And that's good, but there's rarely a solution for this stuff. This stuff is so big, guys. I can't fight the U.S. federal government. I can't fight the Great Reset and Klaus Schwab by myself, certainly. I do what I can here on the channel, and I try to get people to, to wake up to this sort of stuff and know that it's coming. But in reality, the only thing that I can tell you to do is prepare and hold on for dear life to everything that you cherish, because that's what they're coming for, everything. They don't like the family. So, to me, that right there tells you who our enemy is. Somebody that doesn't like the family unit, that's against the nuclear family, there is something wrong with them. They're on the wrong side of things. Even if you're not a Christian, you got to realize and recognize that families are important, father figures, mothers in the home, all this, that's an important thing, especially for young developing minds. So anyways, getting out in the woods is super important. My kid's out of the house, so, I've had a little bit more freedom over the years to do what I want to do. And I have I have 3 motorcycles. I've got the Harley Davidson for street riding, and I've got 2 enduro bikes. So I can come out here, blast around on my motorcycles, and you wouldn't believe how much fun that is for one thing and how it takes your mind off everything else, because you have to concentrate on riding a motorcycle. I used to really enjoy going out and target shooting until the ammo got so scarce that I can't replace the ammo that I have now. So that's one of the things that I don't really do anymore, because, you know, I'm saving my ammo for when the shit really does hit the fan. So another thing I do is I play guitar. You know, maybe you're not a guitarist, or you don't have the money to get a guitar or whatever, although they're pretty cheap. If you don't have to get a real fancy one, just get a cheap one, you know, 50, 75, 100 bucks on Craigslist or Facebook, and learn to play guitar. That's something, especially like acoustic guitar, that's something that if the grid did go down, you'd be able to provide yourself and other people around you with hours of entertainment on that acoustic guitar. So these are just a few things that I think about. You know, one of the things I like to do once in a while with my wife is when we're feeling frustrated about our prepping and things like that, or like we're stalling out maybe on our prepping and we're not getting as much done as we had in the past, or maybe we're just kind of losing steam because the dollar's losing its power, you know. So anyways, when we start getting frustrated about that, you know, about once or twice a year, I like to pull out all of my preps, every bit of it. Pull the cans out of the can rollers, all this stuff, and just look at it. Look at it in one big pile. Inventory it, you know, while you've got it out. It's a good idea. And also with your cans, rotate them around and stuff like that while you're messing with them. But these are things that make me feel better and not feel like I'm not getting anything done. Because when you see that big pile of food, it's going to give you peace of mind. You're going to know that, okay, I've done this much, you know, before things got super expensive. So, you know, your dog, believe it or not, my dog, I don't know if you've seen him or not, but Ranger Boy, come here. He's been following us around the whole time. He's a great dog, half Rhodesian Ridgeback, just a wonderful companion. I spend a whole lot of time by myself completely. My wife will be doing her own thing, and I'll be out here in the woods, or I'll be out in the shop or whatever. But almost always my dog is with me, because he's just a great companion. He looks out for, you know, other people coming around, things like that. Just honestly, that's just one of the best things, having a good dog. You know, I mean, there's times that you can't tell your best friend what you got going in your mind or whatever, or your wife even, because you're just processing things. But you can go out there and tell it to your dog. He ain't gonna tell anybody. These days, I mean, in some ways, dogs are better than people, especially most people. You know, and it's real frustrating when you're trying to get others, like in your family, to pay attention to prepping and stuff like that. And you can just tell they're just like, yeah, okay, conspiracy guy, okay, tinfoil hat guy, okay. It's really frustrating. I feel you. I'm sure that you've tried to warn other people that you love and care about, because you want to see them survive. But there's a certain point when you just can't push them anymore. You have to just back off. And, you know, some kids, they learn by actually doing, not being told. You know, you could tell that kid, hey, don't touch that wood stove. Don't touch that wood stove. It's hot. It's going to burn you. But some of them have to actually go up and touch it before they realize that, you know, yeah, Dad was right. That wood stove's hot as hell, and it's going to blister and burn your hands real badly. And so sometimes you have to just back off and let people just, you know, come to their own conclusions. And for like myself, you know, I've got a daughter who's out of the house. I don't think she's that worried about prepping or anything else that I've talked to her about. But I've been talking to her about it long enough now that I think subliminally, how do you say that? Subliminally, it's starting to sink in on her, you know, subconsciously. She's starting to realize that, hey, maybe Dad wasn't as crazy and out of his mind as the media made him out to be. Maybe he actually knows what he's talking about. So sometimes it just takes a little bit of time before people are going to come around and realize that, hey, you were right. Let's hope it happens for most of them before the shit hits the fan, because that's the problem, is that it's too late by then. And then the problem is if you've exposed yourself as a prepper, then they're going to be coming to you. And so anyways, you do what you can, you warn the people you can, and if they don't listen, don't get frustrated about it. A lot of times it just takes enough time. So anyways, I don't want to go on and on about it. I just wanted to give you guys something to think about, some different ideas that you can do, you know, get some hobbies. If you're not into playing guitar or riding motorcycles, or, you know, you can't afford to shoot guns because you can't get ammunition, whatever, you know, get a bow and arrow. Maybe that's something you could get into. That'd be a great skill to learn and help you out in a shit hits the fan scenario. So guys, I appreciate it, and hopefully I've given you something to think about here. You know, keep on prepping. Don't give up. I know it's frustrating. I know it seems hopeless right now in the world. But I have to believe if there is a spark of patriotic fire, we will rekindle it. So as hopeless as it seems, even though it seems like the masses just don't give a crap. They're too busy on their smartphone living in their, you know, plastic world to understand what's really going on. And there's a lot of sheep out there. Don't kid yourself. There's a lot of them. The vast overwhelming majority of people in the United States are sheeple. And that's really sad. But the good news is there are still people out there that have that spark of patriotic fire inside of them. And they're not going to forget it. So it's good to go read Founding Fathers quotes and just, you know, have a basis, a grounding, a foundation to build your arguments off of. And keep your head up. Try to stay positive. You know, I know it's very hard in this negative world, but try to stay as positive as you can. Don't trust anything coming off the mainstream news. In fact, don't even watch the mainstream news. That'll help you a lot. Until then, guys, I appreciate you coming out here for a walk with me, and I hope that it's done your soul good, because that's what it's all about. You got to have your mind, your body, your soul ready for anything. And as always, I stand for liberty. I hope you do too. Now I'm going to get serious about hunting for some morel mushrooms. Hopefully I can take some home tonight and fry them up. They are delicious. We'll see you next time.